Welcome to Dr. Jaya's Virtual School, Lloyd Level 5 Non-Academic Week. Non-Academic Week, Language Skills, Courage, Listening, Me and Myself. In this exposition, see the sound isolation, me and myself. Me and Myself is submitted by Isabella Rose. The author is myself. My head is a balance beam. My neck is a teeter-totter. My shoulders give me pads. My arms make me fly. My chest follows high. My legs give me courage. My feet keep me stable. My love is blessing. My children keep praying. My pets love the living. And I love my body from the inside and out. Because I need to balance on a teeter-totter. But if I fall, I am padded. If I am thrown, I'll fly. I'll fly high into the sky. If I go far, I will have the courage. If I start to fall, at least I'll be stable. If I die, I'll have the blessings. If I am hurt, someone will be praying. If I just keep going, the living will be loving. Because there is someone always looking down upon you, into your eyes, into your soul, watching over the angel that you are. Listen to this exposition and have the experience with your own body, all this, and feel courageous. Speaking, our greatest fear. Here is an exposition about our greatest fear. Make clear to the listener the main sentence constituents such as subject, verb, object by whatever means the language uses. So when you are speaking, be careful with the sentence constituents. The exposition, our great fear, is submitted by GR82 and author is Marianne Williamson. Here is an exposition. Our greatest fear is not that we are inadequate, but that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, handsome, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking, so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We were born to make manifest the glory of God within us. It is not just in some, it is in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we consciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Dear friends, this exposition tells you about how courageous you should be and take on the fear from you. So speak to your friends about the courageous acts you can do and shun your fear. Poem, The Strength of a Child. This poem, The Strength of a Child, is written by Don Freeman Culpeper and submitted by Don Culpeper. The strength of a child. You're walking down the street with crack on your brain, sores on your face, us kids out in the rain, soaked to the bone, crying scared, can't believe we are locked outside, instead of in our nice warm beds. Only 7 and 10, not nearly grown up yet, I take care of the little one and use my coat to cover his head. Our stomachs are hurting from a hunger we know too well, as our mama searches the streets for someone with crack to serve. You come home late and realize what you have done. There was no care in your eyes, but I know where you keep your gun. I pulled the trigger and made our lives great. We have a new mommy and daddy who never comes home late. This poem is about the courage within you to come out, to speak out. Learn the poem. Understand that the gun in you is your smile. So pull out the smile and talk. Give a good smile to your mom and dad and see a new mom and dad in them. Story. Honest Ladybirds. The value of the story is honesty is valued by all, and when we are dishonest, people lose faith in us. Here is a story. A strange legend has it that ladybirds forgive but don't forget. Apparently, at first, they did not have their distinctive black spots. The ladybirds had been pushed to the verge of extinction when, while being led by their famous guide, Caesius Insectus, a storm flooded the path they were traveling. Caesius Insectus disappeared into the flood, and the few ladybirds who survived had to choose a new guide and leader. They decided that their new leader would be the first ladybird to successfully travel south to the Great Lake and return to describe it. Many young ladybirds eagerly launched themselves into this adventure. One by one they returned and told how beautiful the southern lake was at that time of year, with its crystal clear waters bordered by flowers, meadows. However, the last of the ladybirds was late in getting back. They waited for him for 3 days, and when he finally returned, he was downcast and embarrassed. He hadn't managed to reach the lake. Everyone criticized him for his slowness and stupidity, and they prepared to continue their journey the next day. Following their new guide, they spent a morning walking northwards until they reached some small thick grassland where they halted, astonished. In front of them was the Great Lake, but there was no crystal clear waters or flowered meadows. The heavy rain had turned it into a huge green puddle surrounded by mud. Everyone understood that what had happened. Without realizing it, they had been swept beyond the lake by the flood. When the ladybirds had gone out looking for the lake, they had gone in the wrong direction. Now they could see that apart from that one late ladybird, they had all wanted to be the great guide, and they had not had any qualm to lie in order to give what they wanted. And so the late little ladybird, the only one who they now really trusted, was made the great guide. They also decided that every time one of them was discovered lying, they would paint a black spot on that ladybird's back so there'd be no way to erase it. Nor would a ladybird know how many spots they had on their back. From then on, when a ladybird looks at another's back, it can tell whether the ladybird is trustworthy. Likewise, when people show themselves to be dishonest, other people paint spots on their impressions of them. It's enough to have just one black spot to change from a simple red insect into a ladybird. So, no matter what the price may be, we should not allow anyone to paint that spot upon us. Dear friends, this is a simple story of an insect, but it is a story for all of us. We should be honest and trustworthy so that people will understand that they can depend on us. 8-letter words starting with G. The hundreds of words given in the workbook, please go through. Here are few words like 8-letter words: garbage, gaggling, gainsome, galaxies, gallons. Vocabulary words: descriptions of people and objects. Here are 50 kind words to describe a person: amazing, loving, gorgeous, hot, kind, funny, generous, compassionate, beautiful, affectionate, tender-hearted, gentle, beneficent, and benevolent, and gracious. Considerate, thoughtful, indulgent, polite, charitable, sympathetic, tolerant, courteous, friendly, humane, obliging, understanding, stunning, divine, angelic, graceful. Radiant, charming, classy, graceful, dazzling, elegant, alluring, irresistible, nice, seductive, cute, engaging, charismatic, sweet, heavenly, enchanting, provocative, and glamorous. So here are many words that describe people and of course even objects. Use them, learn them. Journal writing. Write about your grandmother. Here are some tips given by grandmother. Here are 12 things given by my grandmother told me before she died. This is written by a person, unknown person, who has written about his grandmother what 12 things she said. What does she say? Now, when my grandmother, Zelda, passed away a few years ago at the age of 90, she left me with a box of miscellaneous items from her house that she knew I had grown to appreciate over the years. Among these items is an old leather-bound journal that she aptly named her Inspiration Journal. Throughout the second half of her life, she used this journal to jot down ideas, thoughts, quotes, song lyrics, and anything else that moved her. She would read excerpts from her journal to me when I was growing up, and I would listen and ask questions. I honestly credit a part of who I am now to the wisdom she bestowed on me when I was young. Today, I want to share some of these inspiring experts with you. I have done my best to sort, copy, edit, and reorganize the content into 12 inspiring bullet points. Enjoy. Let us see what his grandmother has said. What are those 12 things? The first one is breathe in the future, breathe out the past. No matter where you are or what you are going through, always believe that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Never expect, assume, or demand. Just do your best. Control the elements you can control and then let it be. Because once you have done what you can, if it is meant to be, it will happen, or it will show you the next step that needs to be taken. Life can be simple again is the next point. Just choose to focus on one thing at a time. You do not have to do it all, and you do not have to do it all right now. Breathe, be present, and do your best with what's in front of you. What you put into life, life will eventually give you back many times over. The next point. Let others take you as you are or not at all. Speak your truth even if your voice shakes. By being yourself, you put something beautiful into the world that was not there before. So walk your path confidently and don't expect anyone else to understand your journey, especially if they have not been exactly where you are going. You are not who you used to be, and that's okay, is the next thing what she said. You have been hurt, you have gone through numerous ups and downs that have made you who you are today. Over the years, so many things have happened, things that have changed your perspective, taught you lessons, and forced your spirit to grow. As time passes, nobody stays the same, but some people will still tell you that you have changed. Respond to them by saying, "Of course, I have changed. That's what life is all about. But I'm still the same person, just a little stronger now than I ever was before." Everything that happens helps you grow, even if it's hard to see right now. Circumstances will direct you, correct you, and perfect you over time. So whatever you do, hold on to hope. The tiniest thread will twist into an unbreakable cord. Let hope anchor you in the possibility that this is not the end of your story, that the change in the tides will eventually bring you to peaceful shores. Do not educate yourself to be rich. Educate yourself to be happy. That way, when you get older, you will know the values of things, not the price. In the end, you will come to realize that the best days are the days when you do not need anything extreme or special to happen to make you smile. You simply appreciate the moment and feel gratitude, seeking nothing else, nothing more. That is what true happiness is all about. The next thing is, be determined to be positive. Understand that the greater part of your misery or happiness is determined not by your circumstances but by your attitude. So smile at those who often try to begrudge or hurt you. Show them what's missing in their life and what they cannot take away from you. Pay close attention to those you care about. Sometimes when a loved one says, I am okay, they need you to look them in the eyes, hug them tight and reply, I know you are not. And don't be too upset if some people only seem to remember you when they need you. Feel privileged that you are like a beacon of light that comes to other minds when there is darkness in their lives. The other point is, sometimes you have to let a person go so they can grow, because over the course of their lives it is not what you do for them but what you have taught them to do for themselves that will make them a successful human being. Sometimes getting the results you crave means stripping yourself of people that don't serve your best interests. This allows you to make space for those who support you in being the absolute best version of yourself. It happens gradually as you grow. You find out who you are and what you want, and then you realize that people you have known forever don't see things the way you do. So you keep the wonderful memories but find yourself moving on. It's better to look back on life and say, I cannot believe I did that, than to look back and say, I wish I did that. In the end, people will judge you in some way anyway. So don't live your life trying to impress others. Instead, live your life impressing yourself. Love yourself enough to never lower your standards for anyone. So, dear friends, the grandmother has said, last not the least, but she said, you are looking for a happy ending and can't seem to find one. Maybe it's time to start looking for a new beginning. Brush yourself off and accept that you have to fail from time to time. That's how you learn. The strongest people out there, the ones who laugh the hardest with a genuine smile, are the same people who have fought the toughest battles. They are smiling because they have decided that they are not going to let anything hold them down. They are moving on to a new beginning. So, learn from your grandmother too and write what she has told you. Welcome to Dr. Jaya's virtual school. LOIC Level 5 Non-Academic Week. Non-Academic Week 8. Language Skills. Determination. Listening. Dogged determination. Dogged determination, submitted by Lexel, authored by Anonymous. Here is an exposition on a dog, how it was determined. Our neighbor's dog, when on the loose, prefers our yard for doggest use. He uses a beeline, dog line rather, his eyes a gleam, his mouth a lather, to certain plants and tuft of grass, the one we cherish most, alas, his visits make them wilt and shrivel, and to our neighbors we are not civil. Why can't their dog stay home? One Glover's. Their plans should serve as well as ours. But neighbor here with neighbor shares, our dog, when loosened, goes for theirs. Speaking, the will to win. Make the main ideas stand out from supporting ideas or information when you speak. Here let us see an exposition on the will to win. The Will to Win, submitted by Cage, author Burton Braley. If you want a thing bad enough to go out and fight for it, work day and night for it, give you your time and your peace and your sleep for it, if only desire of it makes you quite mad enough never to tire of it, makes you hold all other things tawdry and cheap for it. If life seems all empty and useless without it, and all that you scheme and you dream is about it. If gladly you will sweat for it, fret for it, plan for it, lose all your terror of God or man for it. If neither cold poverty, famished and gaunt, nor sickness nor pain of body or brain can turn you away from the thing that you want. If you all simply go after that thing that you want with all your capacity, strength and sagacity, faith, hope and confidence, stem persistently. If dogged and grim you besiege and beset it, you will get it. So win, you should have the will to win. Poem. Wishing on a star for my US Marine. Here is a poem, Wishing on a Star for my US Marine, submitted by Miss Tall 1106, author Miss SLTR 1106. I saw a shooting star not too long ago, and I wished you didn't have to go. Go with the feeling that you felt for me, knowing they wouldn't good because I had to make a plea. More than 4.5 years have gone by, seeing all the hurt feelings and tears that we had to cry. If only I knew then what I know now, but soon I and the world will owe you a bow. The hours turn into days and the days into weeks, but never do I stop trying. It's your heart once again I seek. I had time to think about what we had, and knowing there is still time to make it work makes me glad. I want for this 12 weeks to end and you to return home. Even for just 10 days, I am tired of you not being on the other end of my phone. I pray daily, Lord, please keep him strengthened and strong. But right now, your will says Paris Island is where he belongs. I'm anxious to see the finished product face to face. I want to be the one by your side going place to place. Jojo sits waiting to see his doggy daddy too. And I'm just trying to make it with letters, but no audible words from you. I long for the days we smile and laugh again. For the day I walk down the aisle and my dad puts my hand in your hand. The day you become my husband and give your queen a king, but I am proud to say your first title is U.S. Marine. So here is a poem on U.S. Marine. Story. Effort, the infinite giant. The value of the story is the best way to strengthen your will and do little things is by doing them straight away, without thinking about the time or effort they will take. Many years ago, when giants still roamed the earth, there was a particularly frightening and powerful one. But unlike other giants, Effort didn't spend his time eating people or causing disasters. His sole mission was to defend the entrance to the palace of the Wind's Tears, a magical, wonderful place filled with incredible riches. Many were those who wanted to get their hands on the palace wonders. But to do, they inevitably had to overcome the formidable Effort. And he was just invincible in a fight. When anyone would stand in front of the palace's great garden, carrying their best weapons, looking for the giant and preparing their strategy, the giant would appear looking quite big, but not too much to take on. However, right from that moment, Effort would begin growing and become faster and faster, smarter and more ferocious, and it was just a matter of time before he would end up crushing his opponents, no matter how many shields and how much armor they had. Even the most learned and intelligent failed miserably. However, much care they took with their tactics and the preparation of their attacks, the even growing Effort crushed them mercilessly. But all that happened before John. John was a normal guy, not even very clever, since he had heard that in the palace of Wind's Tears you would find the fountain of success and intelligence, which would provide plenty of these attributes to whoever drank from it. He was determined to fight the giant. So, thinking he wouldn't be capable of preparing a battle based on cunning, nor of inventing the best of strategies, he arrived at the palace, and before the giant came into view, John rushed through the gardens at top speed, shouting, "Effort, Effort, where are you? I'm going to crush you!" Splat! Wow, how strange! In the middle of the most important battle of his life, John had just stepped on a dog poo. But when he made to clean the shoe, the young man realized it wasn't that at all. He had stepped on what looked like a bug, and looking at it more closely, John saw that whatever it was looked just like the giant, but it was tiny. John waited a good while for Effort to appear, but nothing happened. It couldn't be that the giant had not heard John's cries to come and fight. So John finally understood what had happened. He had been the first to defeat the giant. He had squashed the giant like a worm. Proud and satisfied with his achievement, he entered the palace. Just as people had told him, in that palace he found success, intelligence, and many other things. He met the Queen of the Winds, who told him that she herself had created Effort in the form of a small, weak creature who got bigger and bigger with the more fear and time his opponent spent on thinking about him, and that the secret to returning to the palace whenever John wanted was to not give effort even a second to grow. And to this day, effort continues protecting most of the good things in life. But all you have to do is avoid giving him even a second to grow. Fight him instantly to overcome him. So, dear friend, here is what is John is you, and effort is our fear. 8-letter words starting with H. Habitual, habitat, and hairball, hairless, hairtail. So there are many words. Learn them from your workbook. Vocabulary. Things that happen to people and objects. Top 100 most annoying things. Here are 100 most annoying things which are listed. Learn them, hear them, learn them, understand them, and try to avoid them. Like, you don't like elders shouting at you, people driving close behind you, people who smell, people who eat with their mouth open, rude shop assistants, foreign call centers, stepping in dog poo, people who cough and do not cover their mouths, slow internet connections, poor customer services. We also don't like dog owners that don't clean up after their dog, noisy eaters, cold callers, door-to-door salesmen, stubbing your toe, bullying, computer crashing, people who talk loudly, or spam email, or even the nation's obsession with Z-list celebrities. Here are a few more things which you don't like it. Leaving tissue in a pocket and putting it in washing machine, driving slow in the fast lane, advertisements in between programs, toilets you have to pay for, the nation's obsession with a saga, people reading over your shoulders, people that park in disabled bays when they are not disabled, brown noser, people who complain about their weight yet make no effort to exercise or eat properly, people jumping the queue. You do get annoyed with junk mails, tailgaters, big brothers, muggers, MPs expenses, stepping in chewing gum, pricey train fares, people who walk painfully slowly on the street, noisy neighbors, people who sniff and don't use a tissue. Here are a few more. Sweating, binge drinking culture, feeling bloated, the recession, delay at the airports, automated phone system, smoking, road rage, people that have their mobile turned off when you really need to contact them, running out of toilet roll, or even the coverage of somebody's death, reality TVs, flies, finding a flat tire, parking cars, buzziness, rubbish opening times to doctors and dentists, when your washing machine breaks down, politicians, paper cuts, or sometimes buses not arriving on time, singers who mime, people who can't park properly, overpackaged kids' toys, diarrhea, constipation, text messages that speak, bad hair days, getting something in your eye, or the hot water running out when you are running a bath. When you also don't like when people who drive in the middle lane of motorways, people who mumble, slow traffic lights, cashiers giving you your change on top of a receipt, cramp, reading about some saga, unpredictable weather, cars blocking pedestrian crossings, adult acne, people who are not polite in emails. Sometimes you also get yo-yo dieting celebs trying to find the end of sticking tape, pimped up cars, traffic wardens, losing your passport, running out of petrol, burning your toast or sunburn, or even iPhone obsessiveness and celebrity fitness. But you definitely don't like people addicted to watching soaps, breaking NA, bankers, PDA, that is public displays of affection, underperformance, someone altering your seat height at work, or people who don't remove their shoes in the house, children at weddings, hot weather when you are not on holiday, or sports commentary. Any of these annoying things. Type them on computer and illustrate them too. Journal writing. You write in the journal about your grandpa. Here is one of our good friends have written about her grandfather. My grandfather, without a shadow of a doubt, my grandfather is the single most influential person in my life. He was more than just my grandfather. He was my father figure, my mentor, my bulwark, and I am proud to say, my friend. As a child, there was no safer place than the security of his lap. I would watch horror movies on TV from behind his recliner. The wolf man wouldn't dream of coming for me there. I could count on him to always have a roll of butter lifesavers on hand. He taught me how to appreciate gourmet foods such as Longhorn cheese and peanut butter. I remember at age 5 standing on a chair by the stove as he taught me how to make scrambled eggs. He would often reminisce about his mother, whom he adored, having him stand on a chair churning butter when he was no more than 3 years old. So he was warm, loving, firm, and straightforward. He had a way of accepting whatever came his way with no more than a shrug. His deep faith carried him through what life had to offer. One of 9 children, he pulled himself out of poverty with great drive and determination, but he never forgot his roots. He drew gasoline trucks and would calculate his load in his head as he drew. He had a head for figures. It was degrading to play dominoes with this walking calculator. Before you put your tile down, he would tell you your total. He loved basketball and baseball. He would often have one game on television while listening to another on his radio, and he could tell you what was going on in both games. When he turned 90, his other grandson, Bill, gave him an autographed photo of Willie Stargell, his favorite pirate player. He was so very proud of that birthday present. He was seldom sick. He just wouldn't slow down. At the age of 80, he was doing chin-ups. Various family members often joked that he would be pushing all of us around the block in wheelchairs as he jogged. Some people have a small garden in their backyard. My grandfather, on the other hand, had a small backyard surrounding his huge garden. He would grow 4 and 5 pound beefsteak tomatoes that would just melt in your mouth, whole beans and half runners that had danced on your tongue. He always had something to do, and it was always done well. Whenever anything was broken, it was taken to my grandfather. My childhood battle cry as I clutched a broken toy in my hands was Papa fix, Papa fix. At the age of 92, he had outlived all but one of his 8 siblings. His wife of over 50 years, as well as most of the family from his generation and his friends had passed on. It's as if he just woke up one morning and decided it was time. He became ill, and within a few months, this amazing man, with hands and a heart larger than life itself, passed away. Father of 3, grandfather of 3, great-grandfather of 10, friend of countless individuals, his remarkable man touched all of our lives, and we are better for the experience. I love you, Papa. So, dear friend, you also write about your grandfather, how he has taken care of you and how he loved and how you loved. Welcome to Dr. Jaya's virtual school. LOIC Level 5 Non-Academic Week. Non-Academic Week 9. Language Skills. Devotion. Listening. A spiritual meditation. Rhyming game in a spiritual meditation. A spiritual meditation submitted by Yogamma, author by Suzanne. Calm your heart and quiet your mind. Listen to the rhythm of your heartbeat in time. With the music of your soul's breath, trust and your heart won't contest. Free your spirit, let it soar. Feel your being lift from the floor. Let your body completely relax. Slowly you will start coming back. With such clarity of mind, peace to your soul will bind. Awaken now and be free to walk your path and simply be. Namaste. Dear children, sit down every day in the morning just for 1 minute. Close your eyes and think of the God, any God whom you like, and relax your mind. You will be near your God. Speaking. Make the discourse hang together so that people can follow what you are saying. Here is an exposition on enduring love, mother and child. Enduring Love, submitted by Blue Boy, author by Brittany. Stand and fight for what is right, for what you know is true. Stay and lie and just deny the things that make you blue. Hold my hand and understand where I lead you to, because someday soon I will take the moon and show you something new. We will stand together, we will last forever and weather all the pain. Our love is strong and we will last long, standing in the rain. And then we will know how love does grow and breaks that heavy chain. I hold your heart, I hold your hand, I take them everywhere. Those loving days, your dotting ways, show your lasting care. A loving sanctuary where you have carried the burden that we bear. I see your face, my special place, and I will always stay there. Dear children, this exposition is written maybe for any kind of love, and here I attribute it to the mother and child. Poem The Old Salt, written by McGurn. The Old Salt. The Old Salt was a special man who came along in a time when he was needed most, a time that is now gone forever, when men believed and sacrificed, when heroes walked the earth in mass, when patriotism was not just a word but by what men lived and judged the worth of each. A man who lived a life most of us cannot comprehend, an era now gone as this warrior's tour of dusty ends at this station and begins anew in the heavenly fleet. Sail on, sailor, into your unaccompanied tour, we salute you. What greater honor that when a man moves forward, he leaves behind in each of us the best of what he was. A defender, protector, supporter, victor, a warrior, the last of the breed from an era when ships were made of wood and men were made of steel. The Old Salt has reported for duty that takes him away from us for now. Those of us who remain behind remember and will continue to remember because he now resides forever in our hearts. As I look up at night, I envision the Old Salt, a beret dropped just above the eye, as he draws upon his pipe. Quietly he waits, the guardian of heaven's gate. Dear children, this poem is also written for the people who helped us and have gone. Here we remember all our freedom fighters who helped us and who have given us free India. Story, The Little Star. The Little Star. The value of the story: for some things children are still too young and they should allow their parents to guide them. There was once a tiny star about the same size as a mosquito. The star lived in space next to his parents, which were two absolutely enormous stars. The tiny star was very curious and always wanted to know what was going on. She wanted to travel around to see for herself, but her parents told her that she was still too little to go off on her own and that she would have to wait. One day, the star saw a little blue planet. The planet looked so lovely that the tiny star forgot her parents' rules and she went to get a better look at it. But she flew so fast, so incredibly fast, that she soon got lost and did not know where home was. When she arrived on the blue planet, which was the Earth, the people and animals thought she was a very bright firefly, and everyone wanted to catch her. She led as fast as she could, frightened, and she hid herself under a sheet. Seeing the sheet moving, everyone thought that she was a ghost, and they ran off terrified. The little star used her new disguise to have fun, scaring the living daylights out of everyone she met. As she went on, she arrived at a mountain where a great dragon lived. The little star tried to scare the dragon too, but she did not know what it was a ghost-eating dragon. She only got a whiff of this when she found herself surrounded by the flames that the dragon had spit at her. The little star used her new disguise to have fun, scaring the living daylights out of everyone she met. As she went on, she arrived at a mountain where a great dragon lived. So this is what happened to her. Luckily, she was a very hot little star, so she managed to escape the dragon and its flames. However, she had been frightened to death, and this combined with the sadness of missing her parents. She cried for a while, but then, as night fell, she got an idea to help her find her parents. She went to a very high mountain and found a big boulder. Then, looking up at the sky, she hid behind the boulder, then reappeared, then hid again, and so on. Her parents were very worried about her and were searching everywhere to find her. They saw her light appearing and disappearing off in the distance. Instantly off they flew to find her. So the little star had tasted adventure and learnt many things, but she no longer wanted to go off on her own until she was much older. Eight-letter words, IJ. Iambical, iceberg, icehouse, ideality, identism, idleness, and idolize, ignified. Words with J, jabber, jackwood, jailbird, janglers, japner. Children learn the 8-letter words of I and J and learn more than 1,000 words are there in your workbook. Vocabulary, actions of people and animals. List of action words sorted alphabetically. Here few are given, but others are given in your workbook. Learn them. Here are the words with A and B: abstract, accelerate, add, address, adjust, advise, aid, align, brief, broaden, build. Words with C: calculate, check, care, classify, compose, construct, contact, contract, control, convert, convey, confirm. Words with D: dealt with, debate, decide, decrease, depict, devise, discuss, draft. All are these action words. Earn, edit, encourage, enforce, enter, execute, exercise, exhibit, extract. There are words are given A to Z in your workbook. Learn them. General writing, my most embracing moment. Here I am illustrating one of the embracing moment of a student, but you write your own. Oh no, poor you, let me make you feel better. These are mine. I used to be a cheerleader in school. There were 10 of us and we could not do much. We could make a pyramid, do cartwheels, splits, and a couple of simple routines. It was just for the sake of having cheerleaders for the school sport games. So it was a huge game, of course. Semi-finals, and nearly everyone from our school and the opposition school were there, plus their relatives and teachers. We, the cheerleaders, were doing a pyramid. I was on the bottom as the last girl who would go to the top. climbed up us. Her foot pulled down my skirt until it was around my thighs. My underwear started to slip as well, not all the way, but until you could see. Well, most of the football players actually stopped playing to get a closer look. I was mortified, but on the bottom, I could not pull away or move. The crowd and everyone was just gaping, staring, laughing. Out came the cameras. Finally, we got out of the pyramid, but by then I was a laughing stock and the pictures had been taken. The teachers couldn't even control the crowd. I just pulled up my skirt and acted like nothing happened. But by Monday, the pictures were up on the MySpace and MSN and around the school. Worst of all, you can also see down my top in the pictures, and the pictures had been enlarged so you could see everything. It was awful, but I think the whole event has died down a little now, thank goodness. But on the brighter side, our school won the game, but unfortunately not the grand final. I fought it in class. I was silent, but it smelled really bad, and I think some people started to suspect me. Oops! My friend and I were standing in a park near the school where the football team trained. We were standing because the seats were wet with rain. We were the only ones there, and as the team jogged towards us, my friend pulled down my pants and underwear. The boys died laughing, and I ran away and didn't talk to my friend for 3 weeks. True stories, yeah, my life sucks. And understand, children, such embracing situations do come in the schools and outside. Be careful and be bold to fight it out, and don't become embraced, and be confident to understand that. Write in your journal if any of the embracing situations you had and how you fought it out. Here the girl did right now, fight it out, and she wrote it. But I feel you should fight it out and tell the people that such moments are common in the life, and be cautious. Don't ever play with children's lives. Welcome to Dr. Jaya's virtual school. Level 5 non-academic week. Language skills, encouragement, listening, anyway, phonemic blending game. Here is an exposition, anyway, written by Mother Teresa. People are often unreasonable and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. If you are kind, people may accuse you of ulterior motives. Be kind anyway. If you are honest, people may cheat you. Be honest anyway. If you find happiness, people may be jealous. Be happy anyway. The good you do today may be forgotten tomorrow. Do good anyway. Give the world the best you have, and it may never be enough. Give your best anyway. For you see, in the end, it is between you and God. It never was between you and them anyway. So listen to this and write your own thoughts on anyway. Speaking, family wins. Have the technique of single sound drill. the sound contrast drill technique and the intonation drill technique when you speak these things. Let us speak of exposition on family wins written by Charlie. Family wins. Family is a gift. It never wears out. They care for you and hold you in your times of doubt. When everything seems hard and you want to be alone, family will support you and be your rolling stone. They will comfort you and love you no matter what you may have done, and against all the odds, family is number one. Even if you have lost one or some on the way, family will guide you to help see another day. Family is irreplaceable. Nothing can compare. So when you're down and low at times, just remember family is always there. So speak to your friends about your own family. Poem Friends, written by Wickelman. There are many times we look back and that friend of ours has gotten off track. There are many times we look ahead and we have for that friend a piece of bread. We look at the days the skies were sunny and the jokes that we told were actually funny. We look at the days the skies were grey and we really did not have much to say. When troubles came, you were there by my side, drying the tears that I couldn't hide. When good times came, we shared them together. We have got a friendship no one could sever. Friends are very special and as precious as can be. That's why I am glad you are a friend to me. Dear friends, you write few lines about your own friends. Story: The Brave Boy and the Multicolored Ghost. Once upon a time, a boy went on his holidays to a great castle. He ran through all the rooms and corridors, apart from one wing, which he never entered for fear of darkness there. In that part of the castle lived a frightened multicolored ghost. He had never left that area because he was afraid of the light. Both the boy and the ghost tried to overcome their fear several times, but without success. That was until one day when the boy summoned up all his courage and started crossing the dark corridor. He managed to do this by imagining that his friends had organized a surprise party for him and were waiting in the darkness. The boy and the ghost met there and soon became great friends. So friendly did they become that the boy helped the ghost overcome his fear of light. So dear friends, see, if you are courageous, you can face any situation. So you write this story in your own words. 8-letter words starting with K, like and understand, read them, and you have thousands of words in your workbook. And words starting with L. There are many words starting with L, 8-letter words. Learn them too. Vocabulary. Vocabulary techniques for speaking. The survival phrase technique. Now the survival phrase technique is you record the language associate, that is LA, saying survival phrases, sentences and questions you need to use. You then practice them until you can say them fluently. To learn to say phrases that will help you with early communications. So guidelines for this is: find out the meaning of each phrase but avoid direct translation. Use this technique as a way to build up your comprehension vocabulary first. This will prevent you from simply parroting memorized phrases without true comprehension. Avoid eliciting and using direct translation and try to learn natural speech. Explain the situations in which you need appropriate phrases as best as you can, so that language association will suggest more natural phrases. Steps to learn them. Identify a specific social situation where you need good control of the language. Be as specific as possible. Decide what phrases you need to learn to communicate well in the situation you have identified. Describe to the language association the situation you have in mind and the kinds of things you want to say. When the language association gives you a phrase to say, check the meaning by asking questions in your shared language, such as, what does that mean? Who would say that? When would I say that? To whom would I say that? If you have no shared language, do your best to check the general meaning of the phrase. Record the phrases when you are satisfied that you know their general meaning and that they are appropriate in the situation you had in mind. Transcribe the phrases. Try to get the meaning of the parts of the phrases. Listen to the recording of the phrases and try to understand what they mean. Try to memorize the phrases. Variations. The survival phrases technique may also be done with variations like suggested. Record 50 to 100 phrases with, or understand, use role play. Keywords, communications, situations, memorize, routines, production, role play, social situations, survival phrases, techniques for language learning, vocabulary. So survival phrases here, follow these steps. You decide you want to learn appropriate things to say in a market situation when you go to buy something. You decide you need to know how to ask if the vendor has yams and ask the price. You describe to language association that you want to learn how to buy yams in the market. So language association will tells you how to ask the price of yams, check its meaning by asking in English. You transcribe the phrases. You try to learn the meaning of the parts of the phrases. You listen to the recording and try to understand the phrases. You try to memorize the phrases, imagining yourself at the market. So all these are survival phrases. In the workbook, survival phrases are given in English and simultaneously in Spanish and in French. Because if you want to learn, if you want to travel the world, today people say you should know something in Spanish and French which will be useful. So you try to learn. Otherwise you learn your own language, different languages. India has so many languages. If you are from south, learn north language. From north, learn south language. Journal. If I was president of my country, understand the duties and responsibilities of President. There are some fixed duties and powers of the President of India which he has to execute for the welfare of the country. These duties and powers are conferred upon the President to preserve, protect and defend the Indian Constitution. The Indian President has to appoint the Prime Minister of India. The President also appoints the Council of Ministers, and with the Prime Minister's advice, he or she distributes the portfolios to the Council of Ministers. The President is also accountable to make a wide range of appointments. The Indian President can award a person or decrease the verdict of an offended person, chiefly in cases concerning punishment of death. The President can assign governors of states, Attorney General, Chief Justice, Chief Election Commissioner, ambassadors and high commissioners to other countries. The President is also the Chief of the Indian Armed Forces. The Indian President is capable with legislative powers such as he or she commands both the houses of the Parliament and also can postpone the same. A bill passed by the Parliament becomes a law only when it is passed by the President. The President can dissolve the Lok Sabha. If it becomes necessary to have a law, then the President can promote ordinances when the Parliament is not in session. The President of India has executive, judicial and legislative powers. Some of the executive powers of the Indian President are state emergency. It is declared when there is failure of constitutional machinery in the state. National emergency. It can be declared at the time of war, armed rebellion or external aggression. Financial emergency. It can be declared if the Indian President gets the belief that the financial stability of the country is threatened. So dear friends, these are the duties and responsibilities of President. So you write in your journal, if you want to become a president, what would you do? Keeping these duties in your mind, what are the new things you will bring into the country? You can write about the president of your own country where you are staying. Indian president, the first president was Babu Rajendra Prasad and the present president is Pranab Mukherjee. Welcome to Dr. Jaya's virtual school, Lloyd, level 5 language schools. Non-academic week 11 language schools. Freedom. Listening. A soldier's son. A soldier's son. Use some of the phonology techniques for listening, like the sound checklist technique, the single sound drill technique, the sound contrast drill technique, the stress pattern drill technique, the tone pattern drill technique, and the intonation drill technique. A soldier's son. Unknown author. Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray, dear Lord, my soul you will keep. My mommy says I need to pray for many others on this day. But my daddy, he is a soldier. Of this I am sure you know. He helps protect our freedom. I was sad to see him go. Although I know he is sage with you, I'd rather have him here. Because he is the one who always said, with prayer there is no fear. Dear Lord, I know you hear me. Way up in the sky, please protect my daddy. I wish he was here tonight. I love you, Daddy. Speaking. Inscription on the Statue of Liberty. Use some of the speaking techniques like the tone pattern drill technique, the stress pattern drill technique, the survival phases technique, the record and compare technique, inscription on the Statue of Liberty. Inscription on the Statue of Liberty, submitted by Joel, authored by Emma Lazarus. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses, yearning to breathe free. The wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, the tempest to step to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. Now, you read this, when we actually see Statue of Liberty, this inscription is written there on the plaque, written by Emma Lazarus in 1883. Poem, The March of Freedom. The March of Freedom, authored by L.X.G. Off to war they marched and stole, tough not always their will. They marched on for their country to be free. They marched on to die if need be. They left their families and their homes, not to know what awaits them where they go. They pushed forward with no second thought. They pressed on through those whom they fought. They watched as their friends fell, protecting this country that they loved so well. Remember those who served the flag, for if it was not for them, we would never be glad. Just like those men in the days of old, who for their country and freedom they knew they must go. Off to war they march and stole. By L.X.G. Story. The Experiments of Miss Ellis. That weekend, Miss Ellis handed out another of her famous experiment assignments. Her pupils loved that form of teaching in which they themselves had to think up experiments that would aid in understanding. Many had to do with science, chemistry, but others, the most famous experiment, had to do with people and their behavior. And on that occasion, the subject was really difficult. Freedom. How can one conduct an experiment on freedom? What could you show about freedom through experiments? On their way home, the students discussed these and other similar questions. However, they had already done a good job on other experiments, and this time was no exception. On Monday, the students returned with their ideas for an experiment, and they explained them one by one. All the ideas were very interesting, but to cut a long story short, Miss Ellis had asked me to tell you only about Amanda, Charlie and Andre's experiment, which she liked the most. Amanda took out 5 different colored boxes and gave them to the teacher to choose one. Miss Ellis gratefully took the pink box and smiled. Then Amanda took out 5 yellow boxes and asked Charlie to choose one. Charlie, annoyed, carelessly chose one. Miss Ellis, amused, asked Amanda what the experiment was called. I have called it choices. For freedom to exist, you have to choose between different options. That's why Charlie was a bit annoyed, because when the boxes are all of the same color, you are not really allowed to choose. But Miss Ellis has been pleased because she got to choose the box she liked the most. Charlie had prepared another kind of experiment, a more lively one. He chose two class members. Lucas was a bright but indecisive boy, and Paul was one of the worst students. Charlie made them go up to join Miss Ellis at the blackboard. Then he divided the class into three groups. The first group, he said, I am going to ask you a difficult question. You can choose one of the three people at the blackboard to help you answer it. Whoever gets the answer right will win a big bag of sweets. Everyone in the first group chose the teacher. Then Charlie said to the second group, you will be asked the same question, but before we start, you should know that I have given Paul a piece of paper with the question and its answer written on it. Amid the sound of complaints from the first group, the second group all chose Paul. Then Charlie spoke to the last group. It's your turn. What I told the second group was a lie. I gave the paper to Lucas. Amid booing and a few laughs, Paul showed that his hands were empty, and Lucas showed everyone that he did indeed have a piece of paper with the question and answer in it. And Lucas was the only one who managed to answer the difficult question correctly. While the winners were sharing the sweets out of everyone, Charlie explained, this experiment is called No Freedom Without Truth. It shows that you can only choose freely if you know the whole truth of the situation. Groups 1 and 2 were free to choose who they wanted, but as they did not know the full truth of the setup, they were not really choosing freely. If they had known, then they would have chosen differently. The first group, he said, I am going to ask you a difficult question. You can choose one of the three people at the blackboard to help you answer it. Whoever gets the answer right will win a big bag of sweets. Everyone in the first group chose the teacher. So like this it went on. The Charlie spoke to the last group. It's your turn now. And such like that they went on. Eight-letter words. Here are 8-letter words with letter M. Learn them, you have more on the workbook. Vocabulary, the dialogue technique. There are many dialogue techniques. The dialogue techniques involve acting out communication situations. In some techniques, two language associates act out the dialogue situation while you observe. Other techniques involve one language association who is familiar with the communication situation and you, the language learner, involved in two roles of a dialogue. There is a natural progression with these dialogue techniques, the ones used initially. Guidelines. Choose only situation in which you have already observed the involvement of locals. Choose only situations that you are likely to use in real life communication. Use these techniques only after you are past stage 1 in the guidelines for a language. Use these techniques to learn acceptable skills in the area of social interaction and cultural learning programs so you can perform your role without a written script. What things you should do? Use the simulation technique. Use the dialogue variation technique. Use the reverse role play technique. Writing captivating dialogues for children. The children's story was asked to critic began with description, continued with description, contained some dialogues here and there, and ended with description. The author seemed to think that simply telling the story was adequate and did not realize that stories without dialogues are boring. So an editor who spoke at a regional conference mentioned that the story must catch the reader's attention. So at the beginning, then continue to hold this attention with a variation of dialogue and description. Yes, years ago the stories of your childhood may have contained a great deal of description. However, most editors mention that children of today are used to the excitement of television, videos and interactive CDs, so stories must rivet the readers. And writers have the dialogue as one of the best methods of capturing and holding their readers' attention. So write true to life dialogue. When writing dialogue, consider putting words into the mouth of your characters that sound real. I did not want to hear that. I wanted to be published now. Yes, I had to think and talk like a child. Now these dialogues always will catch the eye of the reader. Tips for writing dialogue. Suggestions to keep in mind when writing dialogues are: listen to children and think like children. Be around children. If you don't have children or grandchildren, find opportunities to be around children. Study children's writing and what they have to say. Read current stories and books for young people. Read your dialogue aloud. Read your stories aloud or tape them and listen to them. Read to children. Read your stories to children and get their reaction. Read diaries and letters. Even when your story is set in the past, your characters need to sound like normal youngsters who will appeal to young readers of today. And write a letter. Journal writing. Eye health. Eye health tips. Simple tips for healthy eyes. Your eyes are an important part of your health. There are many things you can do to keep them healthy and make sure you are seeing your best. Here are the tips. Now follow these healthy tips for healthy eyes. Have a comprehensive dilated eye exam. Know your family's eye health history. Eat right to protect your sight. Maintain a healthy weight. Wear protective eyewear. And never start a smoking. Welcome to Dr. Jaya's virtual school. Lloyd, level 5, non-academic week. Non-academic week 12, language skills, friendship, listening, a friend in need. While understanding this exposition, understand simple sentences of positive statements, negative statements, commands and questions. A Friend in Need by unknown author. A friend in need is a friend indeed. If I could catch a rainbow, I would do it just for you and share with you its beauty on the days you are feeling blue. If I could build a mountain you could call your very own, a place to find serenity, a place to be alone. If I could take your troubles, I would toss them in the sea. But all these things I'm finding are impossible for me. I cannot build a mountain or catch a rainbow fair. But let me what I know best, a friend that's always there. Speaking, best friends are forever. Note here, while speaking, grammar techniques for speaking are the single sentence pattern practice technique, the structure contrast drill technique, the system drill technique, and the survival phrases technique. Remember these techniques while speaking. Best Friends Are Forever by Christian Socrates. Best friends are forever. I sit alone thinking of you and all the things we have both been through. You are my soulmate, my very best friend, and I know you will be there until the end. Your shoulder to cry on will always be very long. Who will be there when something is wrong? When times are tough, you are always there. It shows me just how much you care. Although we're going separate ways, you are in my heart till my final days. Nothing can make a person see how special a friend you are to me. I dreamed of a friend just like you, and finally my dream came true. Nothing else could ever fulfill everything your friendship will. You understand a side of me that no one else could ever see. You know what's wrong before I cry, but if I do, you will always know why. A friend like you is hard to find. You put my problems all behind. You were there when no one cared. The best times were the ones we shared. We have been together through good and bad. You made me laugh when I was sad, and no one else could ever be as good friend of a friend you are to me. Our time together is wilting away more and more every day, but now until the very end, you will forever be my best friend. Poem Forgiveness. I never meant to hurt you. I never wanted to fight. I wanted to let you know that I know have clearer sight. You mean so much to me, and I could never do without your love. The many ways that you inspire me, gentle as a dove. So please forgive my imperfections and grant my wish today that I should have your unconditional love. I love you in every way. I never meant to backstab you. You are my best friend. I never want to lose you until judgment day at the end. I love you dearly. To your funeral I will go. I don't care if I don't sit with family. Sad tears I will show. I love my sister Lynn. She is as sweet as she can be. I love you so much. Why can't you love me? I don't want to lose you. I don't know what I have to do without. I'd probably wander the world, letting tears shed above. Story: The Unfriendly River. Once upon a time there was a river. This river was rather unfriendly and lonesome. The river could not remember how long ago he had decided that he no longer wanted to put up with anything or anyone. He lived alone, refusing to share his water with any fish, plant, or an animal. And so his life went on, sadly and filled with loneliness for many centuries. One day a little girl with a goldfish ball came to the bank of this river. In the ball lived Scamp, her favorite little fish. The girl was about to move to another country and she wouldn't be able to take Scamp with her. So she had decided to give Scamp his freedom. When Scamp fell into the river, he immediately felt the river's loneliness. Scamp tried talking to the river, but the river told Scamp to go away. Now Scamp was a very happy little fish and he wasn't going to give up so easily. So he asked and asked, swam and finally he started jumping in and out of the water. The river, feeling all the jumping and splashing, started to laugh. It tickled. After a while, this put the river in such a good mood that he started talking to Scamp. Almost without knowing it, by the end of the day, Scamp and the river had become very good friends. The river spent that night thinking about how much fun it was to have friends and how much he had missed by not having them. He asked himself why he had never had them, but he could not remember. The next morning, Scamp woke the river with a few playful splashes, and that was when the river remembered why he had decided to be such an unfriendly river. He remembered that he was very ticklish and that he wouldn't have been able to stand it. Now he remembered perfectly how he had told everyone to scoot, that he wasn't going to put up with all that tickling. But remembering how sad and lonely he had felt for so many years, the river realized that although it may sometimes be a bit inconvenient or uncomfortable, it was always better to have friends and to try to be happy. Value of the story. It's always better to have friends and be happy, even though it may bring discomfort, than isolate yourself from people in order to avoid problems. Eight-letter words starting with M. There are many eight-letter words given in workbook. Learn them, like nailless, narrator, nasiform. So learn the words. Vocabulary. The look and listen techniques. The look and listen techniques With the look and listen techniques, you use collections of photos or drawings to acquire vocabulary and grammatical structures. So to build comprehensive vocabulary, to recognize new grammatical structures, and to associate new vocabulary directly with the pictures without translation, it helps. So see the pictures and listen also to the words. To look and listen, find out if it is culturally appropriate for you to take photos, because in some part of the world you can get mobbed or arrested for taking photos in public places. In other places you must always ask permission before taking photos. You may be obliged to get prints for the people you photograph. Be sure to find out about this before you take your photos. Things to do. Use the illustrated dictionary or picture book technique. Use the photo book technique. Use the picture book plus recording techniques. Use the picture cues technique. Use the picture description technique. Use the dialogue strip technique. And use comprehension vocabulary, photographs and photo books, pictures and picture books, techniques for language learning. So using all them, look at them and listen if there is an audio and learn the vocabulary. Journal. Snow. Even though snow only falls in certain parts of the world, it plays an important role in Earth's hydrologic cycle, forms part of many northern ecosystems, and provides irrigation for crops and drinking water for communities that may be far downstream. Scientists at NSIDC study ways to map global snow cover from satellite and ways to determine the contribution of melting snow to regional water supplies. So All About Snow provides general information about snow as well as links to resources for learning more about all aspects of snow. Then what is snow? Snow cover is a part of the chrysosphere which traces its origin to the Greek word chrysos for frost. Snow is precipitation in the form of ice crystals. It originates in clouds when temperatures are below the freezing point, that is 0 degrees Celsius or 32 degrees Fahrenheit. When water vapor in the atmosphere condenses directly into ice without going through the liquid stage. Once ice crystals has formed, it absorbs and freezes additional water vapor from the surrounding air, growing into a snow crystal or snow pellet, which then falls on Earth. Snow falls in several forms. There are clusters of ice crystals that fall from a cloud. Snow pellets are graupels, or opaque ice particles in the atmosphere. They form as ice crystals fall through supercooled cloud droplets, which are below freezing but remain a liquid. The cloud droplets then freeze to the crystals, forming a lumpy mass. Graupel tends to be soft and crumbly. Sleets, composed of drops of rain or drizzle that freeze into ice as they fall, and is sometimes called a wintry mix of rain and snow. These small translucent balls of ice are usually smaller than 0.76 centimeters in diameter. Groupal is composed of small pellets of snow. Unlike the hard balls of ice that form hail, Groupal tends to be smaller with a soft and crumbly texture. One form of precipitation, hail, while frozen, is not considered snow. Hail tends to be larger than sleet and is usually generated during thunderstorms. Which happens more often in spring and summer than in winter. Hailstones form when upward moving air or updraft in a thunderstorm prevent pieces of Groupal from falling. Drops of supercooled water hit the Groupal and freeze to it, causing the Groupal to grow. When the balls of ice become too heavy for the upward draft to continue supporting them, they fall as hailstones. Snow as mineral. Because snow is composed of frozen water or ice, it can also be classified as a mineral. A mineral is a natural occurring homogeneous solid organically formed with a definite chemical composition and an ordered atomic arrangement. Ice is naturally occurring given a temperature below 0 degrees Celsius. It is homogeneous, formed inorganically, and has an ordered atomic structure. Ice has definite chemical composition, that is H2O, with hydrogen and oxygen atoms bonding in a specific manner. So dear friends, write in your journal your experience with snow, hail or sleet.